So this is definitely going to be the longest of my Zoneminder videos that I'm making. I'm going to kind of go through installation and what you need to do to that. So I've already got my production server rolling here. That's on ESXi2. Do I have enough resources? Yeah, I think I can roll one more. Um, so I'm going to make this inside of a virtual machine, but the same thing applies if you're making, a physical thing. So let's go ahead and just kind of power through this. Zoneminder, I'll say dev. Daysort 1's good. This is going to be an Ubuntu 15.10 host, so I'm going to roll it on Ubuntu Linux 64-bit. I don't know if these settings actually matter. I think they just matter for this, where it picks a NIC, but you can pick it. But I'll go with the VMXNet 3. That's specifically designed for Zoneminder. I'm going to give this a small size. I'm just going to leave it, I'll give it 20 gigabytes thin provisioned. But you would probably want much more space to actually be able to store your events. So, I mean, if you throw a terabyte hard drive in there, you can probably expect to keep about a week or two or three of footage from 4 to 6 cameras, somewhere in there. And I'll mount up my CD-ROM drive. This would be equivalent, if you had a physical computer, to putting a CD in the drive and then turning the computer on. So whenever I power this on, it's going to try to boot from that CD-ROM drive because there's nothing on the hard drive. So let's go ahead and, I'm going to check my settings one more time. Yeah, those are fine. Alright, so it's powering on, and we'll run through the Ubuntu installation process real quick. I'm English, I want to install English, United States, don't detect. I really don't need to set much of anything special inside of the Ubuntu installation other than, just set a static IP address, which I don't even think it automatically does that. I think it always wants to to grab one from DHCP. There's a few more settings coming up. Ubuntu's not, the installer's changed since when I first kind of got into Linux. Uh, back in my day, you would type in all your information, what you wanted to do, then you click start, and then it would do everything. This installer and all their installers lately, it seems to kind of take a while. Like there, it scrolled for like a minute or two, and now I gotta set a host name. Why can I not just do that at the beginning? Oh, that's an invalid host name. Let's name it zone. And I'm going to set up my user. You can pick whatever you want. Username for the account. Type in a password. And I don't want it encrypted. I mean, you can if you want. I am in Eastern, so that's correct. And guided, use the entire disk. Yes, write my changes. Yes. Yes. After a while, operating system installs kind of gets monotonous. Just next, 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 type in the enter key. Here's it's asking for HTTP proxy information. I don't have a HTTP proxy, so none. I usually don't install like this. I usually just with VMware do it once and then clone it, and that takes way less time. Well, actually, it doesn't take less time at my home lab because the these aren't the these are desktop grade computers. These are not actually servers, really. Um, but at work, man, it's super fast. We have like two UCS chassis with fiber channel links all in between and everything. No automatic updates for this option, and it is just crazy fast whenever you clone stuff like that. So here it's asking me what services that I want to install by default. I'm gonna go ahead and do an open SSH server just so I can SSH into it. And let's see, that's really all I need. Now, I should probably go ahead and throw out there now. I'm kind of installing, I think, a special version of Zoneminder. This has a PHP API installed also that will interact with ZMNinja, that Android app, Windows app. I think they have, like versions for pretty much everything. That's not really how what I use to look at my cameras on the computer, but it is on my phone for now. Like I installed it a few days ago, and it seems to be pretty interesting. I made a whole nother video about that I'll probably post at some point. Um, this is not just your regular old sudo apt-get install zoneminder. There's a few more steps. I found a really good guide though, and it seems with this install with the API, I doubt that has anything to do with it. But this has solved a lot of the problems that I've had with other ZoneMinder installs, and it may just be because, in the past I've used like Ubuntu 14 and Ubuntu 13. I'm just now getting around to using Ubuntu 15.10, and it seems to be pretty okay. But this ZoneMinder 1.29.0 seems to have fixed a lot of the issues that I've had in other versions. Like sometimes the video doesn't show up, sometimes the authentication doesn't work, just little problems. And it may be some other settings that I kind of came across while I was researching to do this in like the 5 minutes that I actually did research. And actually, this guy right here was a huge help. I needed that. I had I had this already, and I needed to input that into one of the settings, and it worked like a charm. I've seen time and time again that the video does not show up in an actual monitor. Like everything looks good, it's actually recording. You can, click your zone here and you can actually see where you can do the thing. You see the picture, but you click here and you get nothing. And that is, in my experience, a direct result of your CGI bin, whatever that is, some kind of Apache 2 terms, not being pointed to the exact right location. And I'll show you where to set that here in just a minute. We'll go through all that. So let's see. I do want to install Grub as the bootloader. And continue. And it's going to reboot. Alright, here we are at the login screen. I'll go ahead and log in. There's just a few things that we need to do before I can SSH into this guy. The first thing is actually seeing what the IP address is. So we'll go ahead and look at that by typing in ifconfig. And I have 10.10.10.154. That's fine for my demonstration, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set a static IP address in case you don't know in Ubuntu server. So I'm going to go to, everybody likes to work in root, don't they? Sudo su will get me over to root, and I'm going to nano slash etc slash network slash interfaces. This is the interfaces configuration file, and this is where it tells your Ethernet card, which normally would be ETH0, but since I'm running VMware, it kind of gives you some crazy Ethernet card numbers. And I'm going to set this guy from DHCP to static, and I'm going to give it an address of 10.10.10.86, and I'm going to give it a net mask of 255.255.255.0, triple 255s, and I'm going to give it a gateway of the default gateway on my network, 10.10.10.1, and I'm going to give it some DNS dash name servers, a little bit important, of 10.10.10.1, which is my default gateway, also running DNS, and I'm going to do a space and give it another DNS of 8.8.8.8. Those are Google public DNS servers. Control X to save with nano, yes, and there we go. So now I should, if I type in ifconfig, I'll probably still have the old IP address 1.154, 10.154. So I'm going to do not a sudo, I'm already in root, if down, my thing's not eth. Let's see, I'll just have to type it in. ENO1677779. Numlock is none. 167777984. Okay, normally that would be ES0. I still typed it in wrong. Oh, I need an ENO. So now I have that interface isn't even there at all. I just have the loop back. So I'm going to do a sudo or a if up and bring that interface back up with my new IP address of 10.10.10.86. So now I can come over here and 10.10.10.86, go ahead and putty into this, SSH into it. Okay, so at this point, I don't need this anymore. You can unplug your monitor from it. You never really need to get in there again, as long as it keeps that IP address, which is set statically, so you should be good. Now, let me get my guide. Where did it go? Here is the guide for this. I got to this guide by Googling ZMNinja, clicking on the second one. Never click on the first one, it's always the second one. And right here for Ubuntu 15.x systems, I went the easy way, install from package, and that got me right here. Same guide. So I'll try to post this link in the description. I'm just going to go through a few things here. Pretty much with these installs, it's just copy and paste the commands. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it here. Left click pastes. Not left click, right click will paste into putty. And enter. So I wonder if I can just kind of, oh yeah, look at that, Windows 10. Copy paste. Get the next one on my clipboard. Copy. And I don't exactly know what all these commands do. I'm not a Linux expert. I've been running it for a few years, but let's see, what does this one do? It adds a repository. This one updates the repository, so apt can get it. This one installs a SQL server. This one installs the actual Zoneminder packages that were probably updated from this repository. It gave me a warning here that yeah, there was a newer package, or another package, something, So let's see. This creates a SQL database that does a whole bunch of permissions to the user. I don't really know what this does. Some kind of configuration file for Zoneminder that it's updating, I guess, with this root user. Oh, this is only needed if you're upgrading. Let's see. This enables the Zoneminder packages, I guess, to work with. Oh wait, that just enables Zoneminder the service to run. Uh, this, I think, enables the Zoneminder packages to work with Apache 2. This does something to Apache 2. Changing some permissions on folder for this guy, that user www data, something for Apache 2 to work, changing some more permissions on a file. Here's where you're installing your PHP 5. I don't think that this is part of the regular Zoneminder install. We're ready for another command. Let's get another one. Let's see, that was update, so I'm on getting my SQL server on. Yes, continue. Let's see, that's your time zone in that. I'm just going to type in over here a thing, just a password for the SQL database. Make it whatever you want, just remember it. Let's see, restarting some services. We didn't change our database password. This is a fresh install. And here's where you start testing everything. So at this point, we'll wrap up a little bit and I'll show you that thing for sure. And maybe how to add a camera. Just following along here, plugging in these commands. Isn't it great that you don't have to think for yourself and that we have the internet? I mean, I wouldn't be able to do any of this if it wasn't for the internet. I don't know how many projects I've started and then I come across something that the guide doesn't work and I have no idea what to do and just decide not to do that project. Plug and chug. This might take a minute. can check. Okay, so this is actually editing a file. I'm going to first off not use vi, and I'm going to put sudo in front of my nano statement. I like nano better than vi. Let's see, I'm looking for date time zone, so I'll just do Control W for where is and search for date. Right there it is. Make a new line here. Date dot time zone equals America, New York. Okay, Control X, save that. Yes. Reload Apache. Restart Zoneminder. Okay, I have not changed my database password, so that should be pretty much it. So now I should be able, what IP address did I give this? I should be able to go right over to 10.10.10.86/ZM, and there's Zoneminder. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to add a test camera. I'm gonna add a new monitor, and this is gonna be. Let me get my other Zoneminder pulled up here in my other. I can't remember the IP address of that thing either. Okay, so I'll just replicate one of the cameras that I have here. I'm going to, this is front, and leave that at default. This is a remote camera because it's an IP camera. Over on the source tab, I'm going to keep all these defaults, but I'm going to type in an IP address, 10.10.10.203, and this is the path for a D-Link IP camera. You got to Google these for your, if you have a different model. I found a really good thing. I wonder if I can find it again. Let's see, DCS 930 iSpy. There's an app called iSpy, and this guy, I don't think this is one I saw. Let's see, maybe they've just changed their website. Can I find D-Link in here? Apparently not. iSpy Connect. That was definitely the website. Well, this website used to, and probably does, still have. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, so here's like a whole bunch of D-Link cameras, and you can search false cam or Axis or whatever you have. So I see I'm looking for like a 930L, and they got a couple different ones. I kind of just tried a bunch of them until I got this one that works, and throw another slash in there so you're not stupid. And I'm running this at 640 by 480, and that's pretty much all there is to it. You got to make sure that your camera is set to not protect this authentication URL, or you need to prepend it with credentials. So if like I need credentials to get in this, I can type in admin and then a colon and then password and then an @ sign, and that will authenticate to this web server for me. But I'm pretty sure that I have it set to not do that, so I'll just get rid of that. Save those settings. Back over here on our Zoneminder tab, we got a thing, so let's click on it. Nothing. This is what I was preluding to earlier with this part right here. Where did it go? Here. The CGI path. Let's go look and see what that's set to right now, and it's actually Zoneminder settings. So if you go to options and then paths, the 5th tab right there, it's just looking right in this directory for that, when in fact that directory is underneath this directory called ZM. So I'm going to save that. Okay, so it's saying the changes will not come into effect until it's restarted. Let's restart it. And this is kind of a learning experience. I've got a couple other things to try as well. Probably things that you need to go ahead and do. For one, FFmpeg, which is probably already installed. But back over here on my server, sudo apt get install ffmpeg. Okay, so yeah, it's already installed. That's good. So let's see if this CGI path has fixed this. I'm gonna go to front. Look at that. I got my picture now. Now there's also a package called Cambuzla, something like that. And in past I've needed it for things. I think it's more kind of like for Internet Explorer or something. And I didn't see that in this guide. But I figured that I wanted to go ahead and throw it in there. Anyway, I guess this is some sort of cheese. That's funny. Let's see if I can get a quick guide on how to install Cambuzla. Gotta see chmod it. Okay. I think this is the actual guy who makes it. Okay, so here's a tar. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy this link address and do a wget for it. Okay, so I got the file. There it is. Tar, I can never remember how to do tar. xvfs. No. Surely I'm not going to have to Google how to use tar. I don't really feel like reading this. But anyway, you unzip Cambuzla, and then you put it in the directory for where Zoneminder is actually looking for it for. And I believe it's... I'll have to open up my other Zoneminder server and look. Let's go look in here real quick, actually. That 1 gigabyte of RAM really kind of shows sometimes. Okay, so here is where I had extracted it earlier. And let's see. Was it user share? Okay, right there. So you take Cambuzla after you extract it and you put it in user share Zoneminder. And then after that, you'll come over here to our Zoneminder page again. You click on options and then you'll click on web images. Definitely images. And you type it in right there. And actually, this guy's already got it filled in, but the option above it is not actually enabled. So check that box, make sure that this is right there. And the directory that this is looking for is /user/share/zoneminder, USR user. And if you have ffmpeg, you may as well go ahead and throw that in there too. I mean, it's already installed inside. So yeah, I got ffmpeg, and my path to that is USR bin ffmpeg. Just like that, and then you click on save. So I think that's about everything that I wanted to talk about. We talked about the CGI problem, we talked about Cambuzla, Zula, however you say that, and ffmpeg. Authentication, we can talk about that. Let's go to users, and we'll just change the admin password here. Click on save. And then back over in system, yeah, right here, optional use authentication. So if I check that and then click on save down at the bottom, it'll say it needs to be restarted. Zoneminder does anyway. And now I got this thing, so I can log into there. And that kind of just protects your cameras so nobody can see it and whatnot. That might be bad if you have your cameras out on the internet. There's plenty of them available out there, though. One other thing that you can do if you want is make this available over HTTPS, and that I would highly recommend that. Definitely more secure with SSL, and especially if you're going to be logging into it over the internet. I mean, that if it's HTTP, that sends your credentials over plain text, over the internet. Those can be, seen on the network with Wireshark very easily. So definitely always use HTTPS whenever you can, so your traffic is encrypted from the server to the client that you're using to access the server. That's definitely highly recommended. I'm not going to go through that now because it's not exactly lengthy, but I don't have it in front of me. You can just Google like Apache to SSL, and right here it looks like the guide that I followed for mine. It's not ZoneMinder specific, but it is. ZoneMinder uses Apache too, and that's where you actually enable SSL at. So let's see, you would probably need to come right into here. You'd probably need to jump into the process right here. So make this directory, do all that, go through the, setting up your certificate. Just type in anything there, it doesn't matter. And then you want to edit your default SSL conf, and your site's available. Make it look like this. Those we're using port 443 for SSL. And you'll also want to make some changes here probably. Oh yeah, right here. Now, where it says this needs to be the cert that you make up here. This is going to make a key, and it's going to make a cert. See that? KEYCRT. It's going to make two files. And I don't understand certificates all that well. I know that they're a pain in the butt whenever the ones that you actually buy expire and you got to replace them all over the place. But anyway, in that example, would create apache.cert. This needs to say apache.cert, and the path needs to actually point to that too, so make sure you change that. And this needs to say apache.key. I know this one says PIM, just replace it with CRT and you'll be okay. So do that. Oh yeah, right here it's actually telling you to make all those changes. Do that and enable this new site, restart your Apache, and then test your setup. And that's pretty much all there is to that. I mean, that's super easy. If you have an actual certificate that you want to put on here that you paid for, like your Rapid7 or Global Sign or something like that, well, just drop the certificates into this directory and then put them right here. And there you go. Your cert will be used. Follow the guide again. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So that in a nutshell is a super long, how long is this video? 35-minute video about installing Zoneminder, getting it up off the ground, doing all the little tweaks that you need to do, and then one more thing, use that dark theme. And you may actually have to kind of refresh your page, flush your cache, wait a few days for it to get this nice sexy dark theme here, but it will eventually pop up. I don't know why it takes so long. I probably just need to delete all my temporary internet files with all these browsers actually closed for once. But at any rate, hope that helped somebody. I think this may be the last ZMNinja video that I make, so enjoy.